You've probably heard phrases like, it takes money to make money, or the more you have, the more you make. But here's the harsh truth. These aren't just cheesy lines. There's a real reason why after you have about $20,000, everything changes for you. If you're new here, my name is Willis. I'm a chartered accountant with almost a decade's experience in finance, and after watching this video, you'll know exactly why these sayings exist and how everything will change for you after your first $20,000, as well as some tips on how you can get there if you haven't yet reached that milestone. So stick around to the end of the video if you're not yet at your first 20k, because these tips could completely alter your financial trajectory. So the first reason why your first $20,000 changes everything is because it completely alters the way that you see your financial position. You see, before you have any significant savings, you operate from a place of scarcity. Decisions are based on fear of mainly running out of money or not having enough, which forces you into situations that you may not like. It forces you to take jobs that you may not want or stick in jobs that you're kind of sick of. And be honest here, have you ever stayed in a job that you don't like just because you're worried about money? Let me know in the comments down below. All this contributes to you being in survival mode. And ultimately, survival mode prevents your brain from thinking about investments, growth and opportunities and abundance, because it's more worried about how it's going to make ends meet, resulting in you likely having to cut out things from your life like fun purchases or things that don't necessarily save money. But once you have that magical $20,000, you have more security. You see, if you have only $10,000 saved, then one big emergency can kind of set you back quite a long way. It will put you back below the 5-figure mark, which can be quite psychologically damaging. But if you have $20,000 saved, then even quite a large emergency expense can still not actually breach that $10,000 mark, so you'll still be above 5 figures, which is massively psychologically rewarding. And of course, with $20,000 saved, there's a big psychological shift as well. And we'll see why having your first 20k flips the psychological switch later. But first, here's what's secretly happening in your brain. Research from Vanguard has shown that having $2,000, let alone $20,000, in your savings can actually boost your financial well-being by up to 21%. Reaching 3 to 6 months of living expenses and savings, that'll increase your financial well-being by a further 13%. And hitting your first $20,000 is kind of the crossover point from where you go from just getting by to, okay, I actually have some money now and I'm quite good with it. And of course, this provides the psychological foundation for future growth as well, giving you the abundance mindset that you didn't have before reaching this milestone because you were so trapped in the scarcity mindset. Now, this next part is where things really start to snowball. The second key reason why having $20,000 changes everything is because momentum and compounding start to take over. Einstein once famously said, "Compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it. He who does not, pays it." You see, with money saved, you have capital that can compound and create momentum towards your next financial milestone. Putting some numbers onto this, let's say you're saving $1,000 a month. If we assume you're able to achieve an 8% return on that $1,000 a month, then saving $20,000 would take you approximately 19 months. However, continuing on with this process, reaching that second $20,000, so a total of $40,000, would only take a further 17 months. So you can see here, we've knocked off 2 months. And the reason for this is because your first $20,000 is now working alongside your additional contributions to compound over time and build up that fund even faster. This is why Einstein said what he said. And then of course, the time to reach every subsequent $20,000 milestone after that shrinks every single time. And this is because the money is doing more of the heavy lifting than you are. And once you reach $400,000, then your next $20,000 after that, well, that can be made in just 5 months from investments. And if we think about this on a monthly basis, at 8% return, $10,000 would generate about $800 per year, or $66 per month. Hardly life-changing money, right? But with $20,000 at an 8% return, that's over $130 a month. And at this value, this can actually start to make a difference to a family's budget for the month. And the best part about it, you do not have to work any more of your time to earn this money. I hope you're enjoying this video so far. If you are, please don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. All right, let's get back to it. The third reason why $20,000 changes everything is because it gives you the freedom to choose. You see, if we look at a very popular psychological model called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we can see that at the bottom, we start with the basic physiological needs, so food, warmth, shelter, etc. But once we have more than $20,000, we can start to look at moving up into the esteem, belonging, and safety steps of the hierarchy. And this is massively psychologically rewarding because now you start to feel a bit more self-esteem, you start to feel a bit more belonging, and you start to feel just more safety overall because you've got that buffer behind you. Having $20,000 in savings also gives you a much larger quitting runway. Let's break this down. If you live on between $2,000 and $3,000 per month, $20,000 in savings can last you 6 to 10 months. What this means is if you either lost your job or just chose to quit because you were fed up of it, you have between 6 and 10 months to figure everything out before that money runs out. And having this amount of money really gives you optionality in your life. You know, you can take a break to go back and pursue other studies, to do a career change, or you can try your hand at starting your very own business. And some of these options are just not there when you only have $10,000. But with $20,000, the options are much more abundant. And the fourth reason why $20,000 changes everything is because you break free from the hidden costs of being poor. And this next one can actually hit quite hard because it's the stuff that most people never actually see draining their money. Let's think about banking fees, for example. If we have a positive account balance all the time, this makes us less susceptible to overdraft or other fees that banks may charge us. Of course, the bank wants you to be overdrawn because they made $9.9 billion in the US alone in 2022 from overdue fees and monthly fees and all these kind of fees that we don't really need to be incurring. And of course, having $20,000 saved gives us more buying power. It gives you the defensive perk of being able to make financially advantageous decisions. This could include things like buying things that you normally buy in bulk and save 20 or 30% on groceries. You can invest in quality items like shoes and clothes that will last way longer than their cheaper alternatives. Or you can pay your home or car insurance bills annually to save on the annual premium because generally if you pay up front you get a discount, right? And the fifth and final reason why $20,000 changes everything is because it proves that you have built the most important habit. And of course, this habit is discipline. Reaching the first $20,000 is the most important because it means you've built the discipline and the habits to be able to get to that financial milestone. $10,000 is great, and it shows that you have some basic ability to manage some of your money, right? But $20,000, this is when you can actually say to yourself, I'm actually getting quite good with money now. And of course, going through this process to save $20,000 can actually almost change your identity. Throughout this process, you likely had to make sacrifices, track your progress, and say no to things that you really wanted to do. And as a result, you become the type of person who can save and delay your gratification. And this is massively psychologically rewarding as well because you get that feeling inside that you know that you're somebody who's actually good with money. And the best part? This mindset shift doesn't stop at $20,000. It continues to compound just like money does into other areas of your life as well. Alright, so let's move on to 3 practical ways that we can accelerate your timeline to $20,000. Fundamentally, you have to know where you're starting from, including how much you're spending every month and what you can realistically save and invest. Do not skip this. Everybody thinks that they know their numbers until they actually go through this process. What I need you to do is to go through all of your bank statements, all of your credit card statements, and all of your subscriptions for the past month. Every single line. I know it sounds boring, but do not skip this. You can download my completely free monthly expenses tracker and budget template in the first link in the description down below to document the expenses that you've incurred over this month. This will allow you to calculate what your total monthly spend is. Once you know this number and you know your income, then you know what the difference is between your monthly expenditure and your income, and therefore how much you should be able to save and invest. It will also allow you to understand where your money is going every month and if there are things that you can actually cut out, which, to be honest, there probably are. Next thing we want to do is use technology to automate our progress. Of course, you don't have to use my tracker. You can use any one of the hundreds of thousands of trackers available online, or just pick one that works for you and stick to it. The key here is to use these apps to figure out a safe saving amount, analyze your spending, and automatically move money aside. For example, like there are apps that can round up your purchases now and push the difference into savings. The key here is just to pick a tool that works best with your habits, so you're constantly building wealth without having to think about it all the time. Third and finally, don't underestimate the power of earning more money. The fact is we have 2 levers. There is the savings lever and there is the earning lever. Unfortunately for us, there's only so much that we can yank on the saving lever before we can't pull it down anymore. The reason for this is because you can only ever save up to the amount that you earn, right? You can't save save more money than you generate from your job. However, your earning capacity, your earning lever, that can be pulled much further down because your earning potential is almost limitless. So how do we increase our earnings? Well, maybe you can switch jobs within your current profession. It's often the case that if you change firms, change companies to a similar role, you're going to quite often see a pay rise. And ultimately, a pay rise can boost your income much faster than years of small savings tweaks ever could. Maybe you can even negotiate a raise within your current role. You never know. If you don't ask, you don't get, right? Once you reach your first $20,000, you realize it's not just about money anymore. It's about freedom. It's about options. It's about peace of mind. And $20,000 is, of course, not the end of the journey. It's the point that everything starts to compound. If you enjoyed this video, I know you'll love this one, but don't go just yet. Please make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you over there. Bye.